Well, welcome YouTube viewers. These are the results of our recent Fs1 Knife competition, and we received many entries, which was a great turnout. All in all, we got 10 different knives. We've got 9 here today. One of them had to go back with the owner after the recent Eugene knife show. I want to review each and every one of these entries and give you all a little bit of feedback. This is an efficient way for me to give you some constructive criticism and some commentary on these knives before we send them back. I'm just going to go here straight from left to right. Okay, looking at this first knife, this first entry here, nicely polished and good overall shape for the Fs1 knife. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of a back chamfer on the towards the point for improved piercing. Piercings are a really important part of a combat / survival knife. Something else, as soon as I saw this blade and saw the grind lines, I just knew what I was looking at, which was a curved blade. So guys, just a reminder, before you go through the trouble of grinding a blade, just spend an extra 5 or 6 minutes and try to make it as straight as possible. Nice touch here on the handle, beautiful choice of woods, and nice color contrast in the middle. Just a little bit, spend a little bit more time trying to fit up your handle materials together to make a little less gaps. But overall, a pleasing knife. A little on the thick side, and the Fs1 knife, remember, is supposed to be the lightest combat knife in the world for its strength. So always err for this knife a little bit on the lighter side. This is a very interesting entry in that it had a very unique handle shape that's a little bit of a departure from what we normally do. This knife was laminated at home by the maker. Again, you get a pretty serious bend in the blade and pretty sharp edges. I like to see those edges softened up a little bit, chamfered, if you will. And again, a nice little chamfer on the back here towards the tip for superior piercing. Overall, a really nice looking knife. I like the white micarta on the blade, and nice and thin. And the weight on this was just about right for what the Fs1 knife is supposed to be. So another good entry. Let's talk quickly about Fong Holes. I don't like them. And, you know, the idea is that you could put a string through here and then wrap the knife around your wrist so that you don't drop or lose a knife. If I fall down a hill as I'm cutting something, the last thing I want to do is be rolling down a hill with a sharp knife stuck to my wrist. So not much of a fan. This big scar here came from a thong. I had a thong on a knife, and it was on the ground, and I went to pick the knife up, and I didn't know that the very end of the thong was sitting underneath a really heavy water bucket, and so I grabbed the knife, and it only went about 4 inches before it came to an abrupt stop as my hand kept moving upwards, and the blade came and cut me. So not too fond of thongs, but it is commonly used in the industry. So next entry here, beautiful surface texture, and nice carbon fiber handle, which is similar to what we use. The shape and over is real good overall. Nice and straight. Need a little bit of extra work here with the grinding. It's a little high here, a little high in the corners. Like to see a little bit more chamfer here towards the point. And with this stainless carbon steel laminate that I sell, I don't think it's necessary to etch it in order to see that color difference. And in fact, etching that microscopically kind of makes the surface of the steel a little bit rougher and increases the coefficient of friction when we're cutting. So I just like to leave that shiny and polished, and with time and cutting different things, it'll etch itself anyway. But aesthetically, very pleasing. Another interesting rendition, a handmade handle, made of all sorts of different pieces. This is extremely artistic, but in a kind of a survival setting, every single extra glue joint you've got in there is an area for the handle to fail. I'd much rather see a homogeneous, solid piece of handle material for the Fs1 knife project. The other thing too is this knife, typically we want the handles of knives to kind of look egg shape in cross section, a little narrower down towards the bottom and a little wider up towards the back to fit in the back of your hand. And this handle is actually backwards. It's a little wider towards the bottom and a little narrower towards the top. So pay careful attention to the geometry of your handle as you're grinding it. Great job on the back chamfer on this one, by the way. This blade is probably the closest that looks like one of my blades. We got a little dip in the grind here, and the grind here is a little high. So again, that tells me there's a bend in the blade. So again, take a little extra time to straighten your blades before you grind them. This knife, I get nice shape and so on, nice homogeneous handle material. I'd rather see 3 pins in there than 2. 3 is going to give you a better hold on that knife than 2 pins will. And we want riveted pins on these handles for maximum mechanical adhesion. And these are mosaic pins, and so that means there's only a little factor of glue holding that whole thing on. That's not as good as peened pins, and 3 is better than 2. What we see here is a really wide primary edge bevel. It's about 3 millimeters wide, maybe 2.5 millimeters wide. I mean, if you compare it to this primary edge bevel, which is probably 1/3 as wide. What that means is that right behind the primary edge, the blade is very thick. So, you know, if you're really planning on doing some heavy duty chopping or whatever, that's the kind of edge geometry you would expect to see on there. But remember, the FS1 is a knife that you should be able to carry with you every day and actually cut real life things that you need to cut, not cut your way out of a downed helicopter. I mean, it's great to imagine that, but that's a rare task for a knife. So again, watch out for your sharp corners here. Handle's just a little bit fat, and the handle's not symmetrical. We got less wood on one side than on the other. Okay, here's a beautiful example of the FS1 knife, and this should come as no surprise. My co-developer, Wyme, down in San Diego, 19-year Navy SEAL veteran, who helped me design this knife. This is his version, and it's beautifully executed. He does have a light etch on there, which is his stylistic thing. I don't think it's necessary, but because it's a light etch, it doesn't really increase the friction coefficient too badly. But beautiful handle. It's even though this is a layered handle, it's solid in so much that it's homogeneous all the way from the butt up to this middle there. 3 pins, 2 of them are riveted. You know, overall real nice. It's got a nice grind here, nice and light. Comes in with the right weight requirement. This knife here was clearly the nicest of all the knives that were submitted. Moving along here, this one, the handle's a little bit wide. You know, just a little bit more chamfer here. This actually has the corners softened up a little bit, which is nice. A nice homogeneous micarta handle, which is going to be really strong. 3 pins, which is really strong. Nice high grind line. Really thin primary edge. This is in many ways very well done. We got a little bit of a scallop in the blade here and here, which means just a little bit more practice with the grinder, a little bit more familiarity, a little bit more fluidity when you're grinding, and don't pause on your grinder each time, because that's what can happen is the corner of the grinder can divot out your blade a little bit. But overall, a great submission. Don't use small grinding wheels for the spine of your blade because they make chatter. And if you look, you know, look here on the very back of the blade, you can see chut, 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 a little bit of chatter from the small wheel. The larger of a wheel of a grinder you can use, the better. That will smooth that whole thing up. You want it to be a nice, smooth transition. And a little bit of hand sanding. Will help that as well. But a nice submission. And this blade's really straight, and I was really pleased to see that. This blade here, I think the fundamental essence of the FS1 knife has been lost. It's a great, you know, rustic looking forged knife, homogeneous handle with 3 pins and so on. But and this one has a sculpted handle, which is kind of nice. But it was hard to even accept this one into the competition because we did supply the FS1 pattern, and it was supposed to be, you know, a fairly faithful representation. We allowed for some artistic interpretation, but this was a little bit over the top. This is also from a past student. A really nice thin blade. That's really the essence of the Fs1 knife. And this one's been Cerakoted. It's got a really strong G10 handle. This is nice in a lot of respects, but it's just a little bit angular. I think a little bit more rounding of the handle, softening it up a little bit would have been great. So there's a little bit of feedback for each one of your knives. The offer was for a $2,000 gift certificate to come and attend any one of our classes for the best submission. And it wasn't just about making the knife, it was about putting it up on social media and taking pictures and posting them on Instagram and on Facebook and so on as you progress, because we wanted to really get this project out there into the social media world. Most of you did real well with that. The conclusion I came to is the nicest knife here, Wymie's, he's actually the last person who really needs the extra instruction, and probably someone along those lines really could benefit from coming and taking a class here with me. So my decision was just to give everybody a $2,000 gift certificate, everyone who participated. And so I just want to thank you all for your participation, and we'll do other things like this again in the future with Carter Cutlery. Email us for how you can redeem your $2,000 gift certificate for one of our classes. And maybe we'll get you all out here at the same time, and we'll do whatever class that you guys really need to take your current skill level and ratchet it up a few notches. So thanks again for participating in our FS1 knife competition. This is Murray Carter with Carter Cutlery saying, stay sharp.